you're saying goodbye. Bon voyage, my friend. Thank you. The next speaker I'm asked to introduce, he doesn't need any introduction, is Bern Johnson. Bern is the executive director of ELO. Let me take this opportunity, Bern, to thank ELO for the great job that he has done for the planet for many, many years.
Thank you. Thank you all. Svitlana Kravchenko was an inspiration to the family of ELAW, the Environmental Law Alliance Worldwide. I'm going to talk about beauty and generosity. At ELAW, we work with pioneering environmental advocates all over the world. We had the privilege of working with Svitlana for 17 years. I personally worked with her at ELAW annual meetings in Australia, Chile, Tanzania, Kenya, and Costa Rica, and of course in Ukraine. She loved bringing us to Ukraine and showing us her city, Lviv, and her Carpathian mountains. Everywhere she brought the same warmth, style, optimism, and joy, and fearlessness. In Mombasa, we were on the edge of the Indian Ocean, just down the coast from Somalia, where the pirates roam. We had sharks, reefs, jellyfish, riptides, and everything else that makes oceans dangerous. But Svitlana loved swimming in the morning, and the pools were too tame, so every morning she braved all these dangers to go swimming in the ocean. I swam in the pool. She brought that same fearlessness to her work, challenging powerful interests. Through the ELAW network, Svitlana worked with partners all over the world to take better care of the planet. She worked at the local level. I attended an event at her house to support the great local group Cascadia Wildlands. I know in Ukraine she worked at the local level, helped create the first national park. She worked at the national level. She created and led Environment People Law, EPL, the great Ukrainian environmental law organization. And of course she worked at the global level, helping craft the Aarhus Convention and lead the compliance committee. She worked at every level and she used every tool: teaching, scholarship, mentoring, advocacy, diplomacy, and personal persuasion. And at every level, national, local, and global, she brought the same warmth and joy. I look back at her messages to the ELAW amigos over the past few months. There I see her working with partners on the critical issues that she cared so much about: sharing lessons from the Aarhus Convention, strengthening human rights, giving citizens a voice. But mostly what struck me is seeing her nurturing, mentoring, and lifting up advocates. She is saying congratulations to lawyers around the world. Thank you. You are my hero. I am so proud of you. She was inspiring and supporting, moving ELAW partners around the world towards beauty and generosity. And when she passed away, the network responded in kind. Hundreds of messages from all over the world like nothing you've ever seen. All languages, all religions, all inspired by Svitlana. Even in passing, she made the worldwide network and our movement stronger. Of course, I can't think of Svitlana without thinking of John. They made an inspiring couple. They shared everything: work, travel, love, and life. They respected each other and lifted each other up. The Aarhus Convention has three main pillars: the right to access to information, the right to participation, and access to justice. John covered access to justice, so Svitlana covered the other two. The greatest lesson I will take from Svitlana is her urging us to move towards beauty and generosity. She had a joyful spirit and a warm, caring embrace, no matter what. Our work at ELAW and our work with Svitlana often is challenging short-term greed that would harm our planet. We're challenging people who want to rule by lawless power rather than obey the rule of law. We're challenging injustice and people who want to silence the citizens. That is great work. I know many people in this room and many people watching do that kind of work, and I thank you for it. I recommend it. But the danger of that work is that it can steal your joy. Doing that work can leave you feeling that the world is full of greedy, lawless, unjust people. And that can leave you cynical and hardened. But Svitlana was not cynical or hardened. She was the opposite. She was always moving us towards beauty and generosity. Svitlana survived cancer. She lived through Chernobyl, the horrible nuclear disaster that left part of Ukraine uninhabitable to this date. She lived through what she called the Soviet times, when Ukraine was governed by force. These three things would make almost anyone cynical, but not Svitlana. She stayed optimistic. She kept moving us towards beauty and generosity. Thank you, Svitlana. I'm now pleased, technology permitting, to introduce my friend Faye Sanchez Moreno, a great public interest environmental lawyer from Spain, now working for the United Nations in Geneva.
Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón, y en el alma solo tengo soledad. Y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más. Es la historia de un amor como no hay otro igual, que me hizo comprender todo el bien, todo el mal, que le dio luz a mi vida, apagándola después. Ay, qué vida tan oscura, sin tu amor no viviré. I met Svitlana at an Aarhus meeting in Bled, Slovenia, back in 1997. One day, over the lunch table, I discovered that we both were very clearly singing the same song, a well-known Spanish bolero that was playing in the hotel, Historia de un Amor. I was shocked and asked her, "Do you know this song?" "Yes," she said. "Do you speak Spanish?" "No," she replied quite firmly. "This is a Russian song." We laughed, and at that exact moment, laughing at the coincidence and listening to each other singing our love story was born. Our song followed us to every meeting that we both attended in so many different countries. At one point, we bravely decided to become a duet, performing our little show to amaze our colleagues and friends at the Aarhus and their families. Families. Yes, this was important for Svitlana. She created family in every professional adventure she started. She always paid attention to feelings, to people's feelings. She was a great lawyer, a great citizen diplomat, a great colleague, who always used gentle and warm touch, creating personal and professional caring relationships. I cannot stop recalling your smile, singing, your strength, your wisdom, your great sense of humor, your creativity, your lovely blue eyes, facing life bravely under all circumstances, your commitment to protecting the environment, to tirelessly defend it with teaching, writing, campaigning, lecturing, and overall leading, because of which Svitlana was a real leader, always passionate what you want to bring, Svitlana, a true model to me and so many others. Maria, Lina, John, your dearest one, and now the members of your deep global family lost. Mother Earth is not the same without you, Svitlana. Fortunately, you have planted so many good seeds along your life that in many ways, despite your departure, you are and always will be in full flower close to her. Let me please introduce now to Irina Pavlova, professor at the David National University of Ukraine. Thank you.
Український професор Svitlana Mykolaevna Kravchenko. Svitlo in Ukrainian and in most Slavic languages means light. Her parents couldn't choose a better name for their daughter. Everybody who has ever met Svitlana will always remember her femininity and intelligence, her professional knowledge and the openness to the world, her smiling eyes and great love. Her essential nature inspired so many. I, like many others, received a spark from her light. When you think about her, when you used to talk to her, you just think that nothing is impossible. Today I have the great honor to represent Svitlana Kravchenko's alma mater and the law school where she taught until 2002. I represent Ivan Franko, Lviv National University, its law school, its dean, Professor Andriy Boyko, all professors, all aspirants, all students, and all alumni. There are no words to express sadness of all of us. There are no words to express how deeply she is loved and respected. There is no way to accept this loss for Lviv National University. Professor Kravchenko is among the most famous Ukrainian scholars in the history of Lviv National University, which dates back to 1661. Her transitions have caused many of us all to rethink and to reevaluate. It seems that so often we don't realize how much we cherish people until they are no longer with us. It is uncomfortable in a strange way. When distance is greater and the long-standing connection is transformed. After Svitlana's move to the United States, I have never had a feeling that she is far away. Over the years, I have often talked to students about Professor Kravchenko. When one day they said, you know, we have heard a lot about Professor Kravchenko, but we have never met her. Believe me or not, but I was shocked. It was always so surprising that somebody from our law school had never met Svitlana Kravchenko. She was such an integral part of our law school. She belonged to our community. She was our professor. But this is the phenomenon that was the essence of Svitlana Kravchenko. She does not belong to the city. She does not belong to the institution. She does not belong even to the country. She is a person of the world. She is a person whose achievements were ahead of her time. Today we see Svitlana's light from another perspective. It is the time now to adjust to the new, dramatically transformed connection. And yet, there remains a connection. Svitlana was never afraid to be herself. She was never afraid to ask questions and to start new projects. She was never afraid to face new cultural and professional surroundings. She was never afraid to follow her dreams and to trust that others would share them. Svitlana has always been a great teacher, brilliant scholar, and became one of the best lawyers on the planet. At the same time, she was a beautiful woman, dedicated mother to her daughter Maria, as well as being equally dedicated to her niece Olena. And she couldn't have ever asked for a more caring and loving husband, John. Let us not be afraid to live our life and to follow our dreams. Even if the star is far, we still can see the light. Вечная память Светлане Кравченко. You will now hear from two professors who are at Yale University They are Nicholas Robinson, professor of Pace University and creator of the World Conservation Union Academy of Environmental Law, and Professor Lin Han Lee of the National University of Singapore.
Svitlana. Yeah, очень рад. I am very happy to have been able to spend time with Svitlana from her earliest days when I met her as a candidate for her studies for her doctorate degree at the Institute of State and Law of the Russian Academy of Sciences. The young Russian and Ukrainian and Kazakhstan and other citizens of the former Soviet Union who banded together in the 1970s to begin environmental law in the Soviet Union were a very courageous group. First, they had to buck the existing growth ethic of the Soviet system. The plan must be fulfilled even though the environment is falling around them. Svitlana had great courage as a young woman, working with, as a candidate with a postgraduate instructor, Professor Oleg Stepanovich Kolbasov. I was privileged to meet her and her father, a Soviet general, in Lviv in 1978. We began collaborating together on building environmental law, and at the end of the Soviet Union, she joined the Commission on Environmental Law Steering Committee, representing Ukraine and all of the former Soviet Union, all of the new independent republics on the steering committee of the IUCN Commission on Environmental Law. And she brought all the characteristics that the other speakers have shared with you. But those who fought to bring environmental law into the Eastern European and Central Asian region had to have an extra ounce of courage. They weren't just beginning a system of environmental protection. They were also beginning a system of public participation and democracy. And to do that, one ran a number of risks. Svitlana never hesitated or flinched in undertaking her challenges to the system. She did it with great grace, she did it with great humor, but always tremendous persistence. And these characteristics, I think, have inspired multiple generations of students and her colleagues all around the world. She's a much-loved individual, and our hearts are with John Bonine in the sadness of this moment. I would like to turn this microphone over to Professor Lai-Lin Heng, who brings the greetings of Professor Ko-Keng Lian and the scholars from China, Singapore, all of the Asian region in which she was so active also and had so many friends.
Hello, everyone. I speak, first of all, on behalf of Professor Ko-Keng Lian, the director of the Asia-Pacific Center for Environmental Law, based at the National University of Singapore. Keng Lian sends her apologies. She's unable to join us on Skype because she's giving a few lectures in Ho Chi Minh City on the ASEAN environmental law. And so she has prepared a message for John, which I will read now. On behalf of EPSEL, I send my deepest and heartfelt condolences to you, John, to Svitlana's daughter, and her relatives. I first met Svitlana at a conference and our Commission of Environmental Law's Steering Committee meeting held in Kuwait. I was struck by her passion for the environment when she made a presentation. She was forceful and charismatic. Her great interest for the Aarhus Convention left an indelible mark. I would call her the Aarhus girl. Aarhus for her symbolized not only access to information, public participation, and access to justice, but also democracy for the Eastern European states. Subsequently, Svitlana arranged for one of the CEL steering committee meetings to be held in Lviv. And we had a great time combining work and absorbing the rich Ukrainian culture. I have some photos of her when we were in Ukraine, and also in one of our meetings in Bonn, when we girls went strolling in the park. There was so much camaraderie, and Svitlana contributed so much joy. We worked hard, but there were also memorable moments of laughter, and Svitlana was ever ready to join in. The environment has lost one of its dearest sisters, but her legacy lives on to be an inspiration for all time. It was indeed befitting that she was recently recognized by the IUCN Academy with its Senior Scholarship Prize for Excellence in Research, Teaching, and Contributions to the Academy's goals. The criterion for the award included the originality, intellectual influence, and international significance of her publications in environmental law. That is the message from my colleague, Professor Ko King Lien.
We are both at Yale University, a school John knows well, and we are happy to turn this microphone over to Samantha Kakuru, attorney in Uganda and LL.M student at Oregon Law School.
I will be speaking on behalf of the LL.Ms. The people who have had the opportunity to speak this afternoon have already said most of what I would have loved to say about Svitlana, particularly concerning her professional career. So I will talk about the Svitlana that we knew and how she influenced and changed our lives. Svitlana was not just our LL.M director and professor. She was a friend to each one of us. We became family. She opened herself, her life, and her family to us. She reached out to each one of us with her compassion, kindness, and warmth. She was like a mother to all of us. It's incredible how we grew so close in such a short time, but that was who she was. She made us feel so comfortable. She influenced and changed our lives in so many ways. She inspired us to reach for our dreams and our goals, even though they seemed impossible to everyone else. Nothing is impossible. Calmly but sternly, she would say. As young women and men heading into the world to make our mark, she was the perfect role model. A professional who had achieved so much, but yet she was humble, very down to earth, and willing to sacrifice her time and her life to making us better lawyers. We're thankful to have met her and have spent time with her. We're thankful for her smile that she did not hold back. We're thankful for her hugs that she lovingly gave us. We're thankful for the bagels and the coffee that she prepared for us on our field trips, for the birthday cakes on our birthdays. We're thankful for the Thanksgiving dinner that for most of us it was our first time to experience Thanksgiving in America. And it was the best. We're thankful for the Ukrainian dinner that she made specially for us. We're thankful for always reminding John to take it easy on us during the LL.M seminar. We're thankful for the emails that she sent us whenever she was out of town. The list goes on and on and on. She was truly amazing. We will forever miss her, and she will never be forgotten. The next speaker is Professor of Environmental Law, the University of the Philippines, an attorney as well, Mr. Tony Oposa.
Hello, can you find me? Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. We're ready. Who's next to me again? Lori Matox? Lori Matox? Maddox. Hello, good morning. Oh, good evening, good afternoon there. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me well? Can you hear me? Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. On the wall of my study room at home, there are the names, hello, of John Bonine and Svitlana Kravchenko written in pencil pen on the wall. Little graffiti that I allowed them to do. They were my personal guests last January 2011, where they lectured in my class and in other classes Tony Lavinia and other audiences in the Philippines. In the final exams, one of the questions I asked the students was what inspired them during the class. And almost to a person, my students said that one of the highlights of the class was the visit of two of the great environmental advocates in the world, the visionaries that are John and Svitlana. It was also during this visit that we Filipinos gave Svitlana a nickname, Sweet. We called her Sweet. The day before they left, we went scuba diving together. We had a lot of fun in the region that is now known as the center of marine biodiversity on Earth. I guess that sums up much of what I feel for Svitlana. She was a giant in the world of environmental law, one who saw more than we ordinary mortals did. But at the same time, she was sweet. There is a line that says that people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. In the case of Sweet, we all knew that she knew a lot, and she did a lot. But more important, we all felt that she cared for all of us. Last October 2010, I was in Oregon and was privileged to be invited by Svitlana to her human rights and environment class, and later in the evening to her home for dinner. And we all know that in America, in the United States, in the so-called developed countries, it is very hard to prepare for dinner for 1 or 2 persons, let alone for 10 or 20. Yet Svitlana almost single-handedly prepared dinner for us, myself, MC Meta, and all of her students, numbering more than 20. My friends, I guess that is how much she cared for her students. A lighted candle brings light, but its light as a candle becomes more meaningful when the light has served to light other candles. Indeed, the candle that Svitlana was has lighted so many other candles who have given more light to many other candles and to a dark world. One of the young lawyers she mentored and inspired was Olga, who at a very young age won Goldman Prize. And I guess there are many more who have soared higher because they saw that Svitlana was up there and wanted to reach her. She was even inspired, she has even inspired someone that has inspired all of us, and that man is no less than John Bonine, the visionary. She was the form of the fire that John was. Proof of this is the fact that the LL.M program for environmental law in the University of Oregon, very well known for its environmental program, came about only because of Sweet. To us, Sweet will always be the guide, will always be the candle that has given light to a dark world of greed and apathy. To Svitlana, I have a simple gift to honor her life and her work, and her love for the sea, which I found very interesting because there is not much scuba diving in Ibib or in the place where she came from. Today, I will send a picture to John later today. It is about 7:30 in the morning here, but at 2 o'clock, we're going to deploy the buoys that we will put up in the Marine Sanctuary in her name and in her honor. In times like this, we seek solace and comfort in prayer and perhaps in poetry. May I share with you a few lines from a couple of poems. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. May there be no moaning at the bar when I put out to sea. And though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor, the grass and glory in the flower, we grieve not, rather find strength in what remains behind. To Sweet, may you have a safe journey to the great. To John, and to the rest of us who are still around, we grieve her loss. But for us, whom she has inspired and showed us the example of courage and caring, we will try to find strength in what remains behind. Thank you and good morning. May I now introduce Lori Madas, the last speaker.
The world is a better place because Svitlana was in it. We're all struggling with our loss, but I'm also committed to remembering Svitlana's passion and to keeping her spirit alive. I think we all share that commitment. Svitlana was passionate about movement building. She embraced her role as an educator because she felt so strongly about the importance of training the next generation of advocates. Svitlana reached into the hearts of her students in a very personal way to help them find and expose their truth, and then challenge them professionally to pursue their dreams. Alumni of the University of Oregon Law School have created the John Bonine Svitlana Kravchenko Environmental Protection Scholarship Fund to provide some support to law students who have such dreams and a solid commitment to environmental protection. Svitlana was also passionate, clear, and tenacious about elevating the voices of those most affected by contamination and destruction of the environment. She believed that everyone should have a voice in the decisions that affect our Earth, our local communities, and our futures. Svitlana's family and friends have created an award in her honor, and I'm announcing its creation here. The Svitlana Kravchenko International Award for Human Rights and the Environment. The award will recognize exceptional people in 2 areas that mirror Svitlana's commitment and accomplishments. First, scholars who display creativity and courage in writing, teaching, and advancing environmental law, and who create close connections with students outside the classroom. Second, brave public interest lawyers and citizen activists who are devoting their professional lives to making a positive impact on human rights and the environment. Svitlana was a powerful woman. She led with clarity, tenacity, strength, humility, and a radiant personal presence. She left a large imprint on our world and on all of us personally. Her living and her dying has touched us deeply. My world is changed because Svitlana is in it. I can still see her in my mind's eye, singing Ukrainian songs and smiling that radiant smile. Svitlana was powerfully present for me in this morning's sunrise. I feel her presence daily in decisions that I make at work and how I'm relating to my family, my friends, and colleagues. I spoke to an undergrad class last week about careers in social action, and I talked about Svitlana and about the impact she had on access to information and public participation, and why these things matter in our world. Svitlana is still very much with all of us. She was and is a vibrant and remarkable woman and role model. We are fortunate to have learned from her and shared her friendship. Her loving relationship with John absolutely sparkled within our Elah family. We all felt their love. It's painful for all of us to lose her now, and for her closest family, it is almost unbearable. As time passes, we'll need to look into our hearts to find her wisdom as we look out to the world, set our moral compasses, and make choices every day. Svetlana's heart and soul are now a part of each one of us. It's our job to remember her with love and to carry her spirit forward in our personal lives and in our professional lives. I believe that she would want us all to bring our continuing care to the family that she left behind. They will need our help. And I believe that she would also expect us to move forward together, committed to making every voice heard and raising our voices to protect our fragile home. There's going to be a videographer available in the back of this room, 175, for anyone who wishes to record their further recollections of Svitlana in her honor. And in a few minutes, we're going to let Svetlana's family leave first, and then we'll follow them quietly to a reception in the Morse Commons area outside. But first, we have one more thing to show you. It was completed by a graduate of this law school, Kelly Matheson, in honor of Svitlana.
Human beings can actually change the very nature of the earth.
Because we are already at the tipping point.
The smoke that is being emitted blankets the entire area. People who live close to the land are going to be harmed.
And it's not just about the animals in the forest. It's the people's forest that have been logged.
They signed a deal with the government, essentially.
Sell your land. If you don't sell your land, we're going to mine around you. And if you take that away from me, I've got nothing else. I've got nowhere else to go.
I'm completely convinced that environmental policy and environmental law is based upon decisions that a country makes, and decisions in the law, and then you enforce the law. And it's not this human rights sort of theoretical stuff. And then she started introducing me to cases.
I would start from the point when I never thought about this connection. And for me, that was a very important invitation to come to Geneva in January 2002. It was an expert seminar organized by UN High Commission of Human Rights and United Nations Environmental Program. And human rights people would say, you environmentalist, your rights do not exist, it's animal rights, And if we recognize environmental rights, it means we dilute fundamental human rights, And environmental people, like in Rio in 1992, I know they will say, you human rights people care only about people, and we care about environment. So you are like, put people in the center of universe, and it's not right. We participated in negotiation of the Aarhus Convention. The convention is on access to information, public participation, and access to justice in environmental matters. And we both were involved in negotiations as citizen diplomats. And we had our right for the first time in the international negotiations to have our right to say, sitting together with the ministers, and to be heard. And some of the formulations of the convention are actually proposed by non-government organizations. Could I say first? I'm sorry.
I know what you're going to say, and I agree with you.
So first emerging field is climate change. And now Human Rights Council recently, like 1 week ago, issued a report about the connection between human rights and climate change. To talk about climate change only in terms of cap and trade and emission reduction, it's not enough, because we have to think about environmental climate change, refugees, people being, like Tuvalu, being replaced, or they need to replace because the island will be underwater. My message would be consider using a human rights approach. When you go to the court and you talk about human rights, the judge will listen more carefully than you will talk about butterflies. If you talk about right to life, there is no compromise.
The environmental movement is about saving lives.
It's a right to life, it's a right to water, it's a right to information, it's a right to have a say-so in what's happening.
Information means power. If you're powerless, then you can't get an access to justice.
No, you have rights. These are the rights that you have, and you don't have to sell your land.
You're not just protecting yourself, but rather you're protecting Mother Earth and the rest of humanity.
Environment is about life.